What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what is really moving it and causing the sell-off and whether it's justified or not. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. Starting off, SoundHound is down 5.74%, 1185 the low, 1339 the high. You are seeing a lot of volume, so 46.8 million shares being traded, 37 is the average. As soon as the market did open, you had a very nice push higher, so institutions were buying up SoundHound. Unfortunately, it did hit a key resistance level, thus it's causing some consolidation. No news from SoundHound today, no SEC filings, nor has there been any new analyst ratings. So today is simply just the technicals. So you're having some consolidation, and any stock running up a certain amount, as much as SoundHound has, you are going to have, of course, a lot of overreactions at key resistance levels. So just over the last 1 month for SoundHound, it is up 21.7%. So doing fairly well all in all. On a macro standpoint, we did just have initial jobless claims early this morning, came in at 227, forecast of 245, and then right now we are just waiting for the 30-year bond. But aside from that, everything seems to be going according to plan. Couple Fed speakers, not really the best. You add this individual right here, 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗛, if I'm saying that right, kind of allude to that there being a 40 to 50% likelihood of rate hikes. So that was kind of out of nowhere. Market didn't seem to care all that much in reality, so that's maybe a positive thing. Aside from that, though, when it comes down to shorts, they are increasing 91,000 shares. 33.87% of the free float is being shorted. So again, pretty much high levels. I think the all-time is at 34, but still very high stuff. 122.35 million shares overall are being shorted, and that does work out to be $1.58 billion. And you can kind of see from this right here, from what shorts have been doing, at the peak they were increasing about 1 million shares. So ultimately they did really kind of kickstart this selling right here. So at the peak, at a very key resistance level, that's where they were at the time, increasing 1 million shares, really doubling down. Since then, they haven't really done all that much, so they did return a little bit while it was selling off. But aside from all that fun stuff, though, on the actual for the options, right now we are seeing 8.89 million in calls, 2.36 in puts. So a lot of volume today, which is always a good thing. 46% of all the options being done, though, today are bearish in nature. So people are somewhat anticipating a further pullback, which, in my opinion, I don't really see that being feasible. Once I go over the technicals, that might make a little bit more sense. But from the bulls, you see a consensus for it to be still roughly between that 13 to 1350 going into tomorrow, tail end of tomorrow. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub 12. So given where we are at, there is more upside anticipated. And tomorrow being Friday, just take note of this, the open interest. So 13 is going to be a big one. So you have 12,000 at that 13. 6,000 at 1350, 7,000 at that 14. Side note, hopefully a lot of you can hear my audio correctly and everything. Clearly I'm not at home right now, but I wanted just to kind of pop on and go over what is really affecting SoundHound and whether this is a buy the dip type of opportunity or not. But aside from that, looking on this, so the secondary market, you are actually seeing a huge amount of transactions. And one thing that I always bring up almost every video is essentially where volume does come from. And you are actually seeing institutions buying SoundHound. So the volume today isn't linked to algorithmic trading, it's actual like institutions getting in. Of course, you have a couple pockets of selling that's kind of pushing it down, but you are seeing legitimately institutions buying up SoundHound. And especially in the past, that's a very big deal. You need a massive inflow of capital to really push SoundHound higher. One thing I do actually want to pop over and just give you a quick overview of is this. So the rating summary. So you have the SA analysts, Wall Street, which right now is a consensus as a buy, and then the quantitative data. And so that does show it as a strong buy. This is derived here. So profitability, we already know that SoundHound's not profitable, but it does have a under the momentum. Revisions A+, so meaning this upcoming earnings is very optimistic coming from analysts. And then valuation is B. So given what they do and their bottom line, they are actually seen as a good deal. So for those of you that are kind of value investors, this is something to take note of. At the same time, I'm sure that is also why a lot of institutions are being drawn to it over the last month, is just because of big money kind of looking for value. In reality, these are all the transactions going back over here on the dark pool. So a lot of big transactions. A lot of this is linked to shorting, and so as per usual, shorts are fairly active with SoundHound. Aside from all of that, though, with it at 12.16, currently it is trading between this S2 and this S3. When it did really spike higher, it bounced off of this R2, this general area, 1341. So I'm looking at the 1 minute chart, moving over to the 4 hour. This is where you also did see kind of the low on this R2 of 1186. So essentially that is going to be the diamond support that you want to watch for it to hold. If not, then you will see further consolidation to, let's say, that 1147 or 1084. But in my opinion, it bouncing off of this R2 is a good sign that you're going to be seeing higher highs still. But at least in the short term, just watch for it to get above this 1249. Aside from all that, though, no new actual articles. I think the next big thing is going to be their kind of chat, and that's going to be on July the 23rd. It is going to be live, so definitely pop over there and kind of watch that. Maybe depending on the time, I believe it's kind of midway throughout the day. I can always live stream that if necessary. But aside from that, though, today is just the technicals. So as I've stated in the past, I think that is a very unjustified sell-off reason. So yes, you have to kind of keep note of some of the support and resistance points, but this right here isn't something overly to be worried about, in my opinion. But 1214, that is that ALMA, still above all the key pivotal moving averages. And yeah, honestly, everything is looking pretty okay. You are going to have a lot of this kind of volatility because of it being relatively overbought, such as 𝗖𝗪𝗧𝗪. So let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. I feel like today's consolidation is normal, healthy for the stock. Some people might be freaking out because they didn't maybe buy in the high, or just generally they don't like this level of volatility. But keep in mind, for those of you that are familiar with this, when it went up like crazy, it would be down 10% in one day, and then even in the second half of the day it would be +7. That would be happening almost every single day. So for those of you that are kind of not really wanting a lot of volatility, maybe SoundHound might not be for you. But clearly, as what we can kind of see right here, when things get running, it goes up quite significantly. And right now it does have the exact same setup as this right here, so as pretty much November going into December 2024. So big things might be coming. So like I said, I think today's sell-off is largely unjustified, a good potential opportunity to buy the dip. So let me know your viewpoint. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.